Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. And Chair McClure, I know that you and what I do appreciate about you is that you will talk with me through these bills, and we will talk about and have open dialogue. But with that said, Chair McClure, I have to tell you why this bill is very problematic. And I think that we have to think about intent versus impact. I understand that your intent may not be to be discriminatory, may not be to be restrictive, but we have to look at the impact of the legislation that we are passing. One of the things, and I believe Representative Escamani pointed this out in her debate, and I believe Representative Gant pointed this out in her debate as well. We have third-party organizations that register Black and brown people. Let me just walk you through a little bit of history. Black folks were actually able to vote without any restrictions August 6, 1965. There are people in this room that were born in 1965. That is recent history. And so I'm just unclear why we are not making the path easier for folks to register to vote. But also, many of these third-party organizations, they also educate voters. They stay in the community. These are people who live in their community, and they are educating their neighbors and their friends on a day-to-day basis. And so when you have the restriction in here that they have to expire after every election cycle, it's not just registering voters, but it's also educating them on off-cycle years. So once again, it's the intent versus the impact. And that's what we have to think about. And so I don't want to, go into like, well, you're doing this. No, it's just, I don't think we're just thinking about that impact. Also, I want to talk about the burden shifting to the actual voter. And I know that we've had this conversation in committee. When I am licensed to drive, when I get a ticket, when they tell me I don't pay that ticket on time, and the people about to take my license, guess what happens? The state of Florida sends me a notice. The state of Florida says, Rayner-Goolsby, you're one seatbelt infraction away of losing your license. I mean, my father did say that it's kind of fact. I like to speed, but whatever. But listen, the state of Florida does that. So why can the state of Florida, we can alert folks to everything else, but we can't seem to alert them to this actual American duty and privilege that we have to vote. And so I have a problem with the burden shifting because we saw last election cycle, we saw people not realizing they weren't able to vote, and they were being used as a political pawn. They were being used as gamesmanship, not that fact that they have real lives. Once again, it's the intent versus impact. We have to look at the impact we're having with this legislation. And I don't know anyone, and no one who's in this chamber should ever want to make it harder for people to vote. We should all want everybody to get out and vote. So once again, members, it is the intent versus the impact. Also, I'm going to touch on the resign to run. I don't like when people play in my face. My mama would tell me when I was about to get in trouble, and I would act like I didn't really know what was going on. She would say, "I have more degrees than you, and I'm not stupid." And I say, "Yes, ma'am." And that's how I feel in this moment. We know what this is about. We have already said the quiet part out loud. In fact, with the resign to run provision, y'all have said the quiet part out loud. Y'all have said that we're willing to bend to political wiles and wills. We're willing to do that. Members, the intent versus the impact. How can we ask our people to trust in democracy if we are willing to just give it away if someone asks us to? That is not democracy. Members, I know that this bill will pass, but I'm talking to the people that are watching. I, in the back rows, understand what the impact of this legislation will do. And it's just building upon more and more restrictive voting legislation that is really trying to silence people to vote. And I know that may not be the intent, but guess what? That is the impact.